Churi. 33 men sat in darkness, 700 meters underground, sealed behind 5,000 tons of collapsed rock. They had 2 days of food. No one on the surface knew if they were alive, and the shift supervisor had to decide how long that food needed to last. The San Jose copper and gold mine stood in the Atacama Desert, 45 kilometers north of Copiapó in northern Chile. On August 5, 2010, 33 miners were working deep inside when the mountain moved. A slab of rock the size of a skyscraper sheared away from the tunnel ceiling and sealed the main ramp. The collapse didn't announce itself with a roar. The men felt pressure in their ears, then heard stone grinding against stone as the access route behind them vanished. They retreated to a ventilated refuge station near the bottom of the mine. The refuge was a reinforced pocket carved into solid rock, designed to hold 25 people for 48 hours. 33 arrived. The space measured roughly the size of a small apartment. Inside were emergency supplies, bottled water, a few cans of tuna, condensed milk, crackers, and medicine. The air was warm and stale. Dust hung in the beams of their headlamps. Luis Urzúa, the shift supervisor, counted the inventory. They had enough food for 2 days if rationed carefully, maybe 3 if they stretched it. The immediate assumption was that rescue crews would reach them within 48 hours. Mines had protocols. Surface teams would know the shift roster. They would drill down, open a path, and bring everyone out. But 48 hours required a guess about what was happening 700 meters above them. The miners had no communication with the surface. No radio, no phone line. The refuge's intercom connected only to parts of the mine that no longer existed. They were sealed in a mountain with no way to signal. And Luis Urzúa understood something the others didn't want to consider yet. If the collapse was as massive as the pressure wave suggested, it might take weeks to clear. He made the first decision on day 1. The food would be rationed as if rescue might take 2 weeks, not 2 days. 2 cans of tuna and a few crackers would be divided among 33 men every 48 hours. Each portion amounted to roughly 2 spoonfuls of fish and a biscuit per person per day. No one was happy. Several men argued that the estimate was too conservative, that they were starving themselves for a delay that wouldn't happen. Luis didn't negotiate. He controlled the supplies and kept them locked in a cabinet only he could open. The first 3 days were the hardest. Hunger became the only thing the men could think about. Some searched the refuge for anything edible. They found a bottle of peach nectar and divided it into 33 portions. They scraped labels off cans to lick the adhesive. One miner suggested they explore deeper tunnels to see if other refuge stations held more food. The group voted against it. The air quality below was unknown. Getting lost in unmapped passages would turn one problem into several. On the surface, rescue teams had mobilized, but progress was slow. Engineers didn't know if anyone had survived. They didn't know where survivors might be sheltering, and they didn't know if the refuge was even accessible. Drilling a probe hole 700 meters through unstable rock required precision. If the drill veered off course by even a few degrees, it would miss the refuge entirely. The first borehole began on August 7th. It would take 17 days to reach depth. Underground, the miners settled into a routine that revolved around conserving energy. They slept in shifts on cardboard mats. They urinated in one area and defecated in another, covering waste with dirt to manage the smell. They avoided unnecessary movement. Physical activity burned calories they couldn't replace. The refuge had no natural light, so the men used their headlamps sparingly to preserve batteries. Most of the time, they sat in total darkness, talking quietly or not at all. By day 10, the rations had dwindled to almost nothing. The tuna was gone. The crackers were gone. What remained were a few cans of condensed milk and some vitamin supplements. Luis divided the milk into daily teaspoons. Some men began losing significant weight. Muscle mass disappeared first. Their bodies broke down fat, then protein from their own tissue. Weakness made it difficult to stand for long. Conversations became shorter. Several miners stopped speaking altogether. The psychological pressure compounded the physical deterioration. No one knew if the drill teams on the surface had even started. No one knew if their families had been told they were missing. Some men convinced themselves they'd been abandoned. Others prayed. A few wrote letters they didn't expect anyone to read. Luis Urzúa kept a log of the days in a notebook, marking time with careful tallies. He never told the group how long he thought they might be down there. He only repeated that the rationing plan would continue. On August 22nd, 17 days after the collapse, a drill bit punched through the ceiling of the refuge. The men heard at first a faint grinding sound that grew louder. Then they saw the bit break through rock and stop. Someone tied a note to the drill string. "We are fine in the refuge, the 33. The drill retracted. Hours later, it returned with a message from the surface. Help was coming, but extraction would take time. The miners needed to hold on. With communication established, the surface team sent supplies down the borehole in narrow capsules. Water, high-calorie gels, electrolyte drinks. The miners were instructed to reintroduce food slowly. Their bodies had adapted to starvation. Eating too much too quickly could cause refeeding syndrome, a dangerous metabolic shift that could stop the heart. They measured every meal, added calories gradually, and monitored each other for signs of distress. The rescue capsule took another month to build and test. Engineers designed a steel tube barely wide enough for one man, fitted with oxygen, communications, and an escape hatch. On October 13th, 69 days after the collapse, the capsule descended for the first time. One by one, the miners were pulled to the surface. Luis Urzúa, the shift supervisor, rode up last. All 33 survived. Medical teams found that most had lost between 8 and 15 kilograms. Several had developed infections from the unsanitary conditions. A few showed symptoms of post-traumatic stress, but none had suffered organ failure. None had starved to death. The aggressive rationing, the decision that had caused arguments and resentment in the first days underground, had kept all of them alive long enough for the drills to reach them. The Copiapó rescue became a global event. Engineers from multiple countries collaborated on the drilling. Psychologists counseled the miners remotely through the borehole. Families camped at the site for 2 months. The Chilean government treated the operation as a national priority, but underneath the international attention was a simpler fact. 33 men lived because one person made a decision no one wanted to accept and held to it when every instinct said the wait couldn't possibly be that long. Luis Urzúa had no way to know that rescue would take 69 days. His 2-week estimate turned out to be conservative, but it was conservative enough. If the food had been consumed in 2 days under the assumption that help was imminent, the group would have faced 50-plus days with nothing. Starvation would have killed them long before the rescue capsule arrived. The case illustrates the cost of optimism in survival situations with no external information. The miners couldn't see the scale of the collapse. They couldn't know how long drilling would take. The only variable they controlled was how fast they consumed their supplies. The decision to ration for a long entrapment felt extreme in the moment. It turned out to be the minimum necessary buffer. What the Copiapó event demonstrates is not that rationing always works or that survivors should always assume the worst. It demonstrates that when you are sealed underground with no communication and limited supplies, the penalty for underestimating the weight is death, and the penalty for overestimating is hunger. Hunger, 33 men proved, you can survive.